You're standing at the self-checkout in a grocery store, one hand on the cart, the other holding your phone, ready to pay. You glance down at what you picked. Nothing crazy. Eggs, yourself, milk, some vegetables. Maybe you grab the better version of a few things. Organic, lower sugar, just slightly nicer. And a couple of things you tossed in without thinking. You actually feel pretty good about it because you're not reckless with money. You're the type who compares prices, avoids obvious traps, tells yourself, I don't need that. There's even a small sense of pride because you're not stressed like before. You're not calculating every dollar, not debating whether to put something back. It feels like you finally have control. Then you scan the last item. The screen lights up. $137.42. You pause, not because you can't afford it, but because something feels off. A thought hits you. I thought I was being careful. You didn't overspend, didn't splurge. You barely even bought snacks. So why does this still feel expensive? You tap your card. The receipt prints out. You look at that long list of numbers and realize this isn't the first time. Lately, everything feels like this. A normal meal out expensive. A basic service expensive. Just maintaining your life expensive. And the strangest part? You're actually trying now. You're not out of control. You're not careless. If anything, you're more disciplined than most people. And still, it feels like your life is getting tighter. Like the moment you finally got your footing, the world quietly raised the price of living. That's the catch. No one explains. Getting your finances under control doesn't end the game. It unlocks a new one. And the rules? They change. And if you don't notice it, you slowly drift right back to where you started. Not because you're bad with money, but because the system is tuned. So you never wander too far from the friend edge. Think about it like this. You didn't reach a finish line. You stepped onto a treadmill. And the moment you got comfortable, it sped up. Most people think the problem is spending too much. But that's not really it. The real problem is this invisible shift that happens the second you're doing okay. Because now you qualify for better offers, better products, better lifestyles, which is just a nicer way of saying you've become a better target. Banks don't care when you're broke. Apps don't fight for your attention when your account is empty. But the second you show signs of stability, you start getting nudged. Better credit limits, pre-approved upgrades, lifestyle content that just happens to match your income. It's subtle, but it adds up. And here's the uncomfortable part. You don't even feel like you're making bad decisions because you're not. You're just making slightly better ones. That costs slightly more over and over until your careful lifestyle quietly becomes an expensive one. And you're sitting there thinking, how am I still tight on money? And the answer is simple. You didn't break the system. You just moved up a level in it. And almost everyone gets stuck here. My name is Twee. I'm obsessed with how money actually works. Not the motivational version, not the guru version, the real version. The one where you can do everything right and still feel like something's off. Quick disclaimer, this is education and entertainment only, not financial advice. I'm not your advisor. Talk to a professional if you need one. I'm just here to help you see the game more clearly. So, let's break. What actually changes? Phase 1 is survival. You're grinding, cutting back, saying no to everything. Your goal is simple. Stability. Get through the month. Build a small buffer. Stop the bleeding. And when you finally get there, it feels like you earned something. And you did. But here's where Phase 2 begins. And nobody tells you this part. Phase 2 isn't about money. It's about psychology. Because after scarcity, your brain wants relief. It wants ease, comfort, normal. So you start making upgrades that feel justified. And they are. That's what makes this dangerous. You're not impulse buying nonsense. You're improving your life. Slightly better food, slightly nicer experiences, slightly more convenience. Each one makes sense on its own, but together they reset your baseline. And once your baseline moves, there's no going back without feeling like you're losing something. At the same time, the system notices. You're no longer risky. You're profitable. So now everything around you is designed to pull you just a little further. Credit cards with rewards, apps that make spending frictionless, smart upgrades that feel like optimization. It's not aggressive, it's smooth, which is why it works. Because you never feel like you're making a mistake. You just feel like you're living a normal life. But normal is expensive now, and getting more expensive every year. Now, let's talk about the math, because this part is simple and brutal. Let's say you free up $500 a month. Nothing insane, just from being more organized and consistent. If you invest that, even at a boring 7% return, that's over $600,000 in 30 years. Not exciting, but powerful. Now, here's the catch. If your lifestyle quietly absorbs that $500 through slightly nicer everything, you don't feel it. But you just traded long-term freedom and for short-term comfort. And almost everyone does this. There's actually a gap called the behavior gap. Studies from places like Vanguard show that average investors underperform the market by around 1 to 2% a year, not because they're dumb, because they drift, they upgrade, they react, they adjust, and over decades, that tiny difference becomes massive. Same income, same effort, completely different outcome. Let me show you what this looks like. Two people, same starting point, same income, same finally feel stable moment. Alex hits that point and relaxes, starts enjoying life a bit more, orders convenience more often, upgrades small things, nothing extreme, just normal. But their baseline rises, expenses creep, and every time income goes up, lifestyle follows. 5 years later, they're making more, but still feel tight, still saying things like, I just need a little more. They're not failing. They're stuck. Now, Jordan, same situation, same stability moment. But Jordan does one thing differently. They draw a line. They decide, this is my floor. Meaning, this is the lifestyle I can always afford, no matter what. Anything above that doesn't get absorbed. It gets separated. So, when Jordan makes more, they don't upgrade everything. They build layers. Core expenses stay stable. Investments grow quietly. And fun money lives on top without touching the base. 5 years later, Jordan doesn't just make more. They feel different. Less pressure, more options. Because their life didn't expand to consume everything they earned. And this is backed by real data. Most people increase spending as income rises, almost automatically. It's called lifestyle creep. And it's one of the biggest reasons people with high incomes still feel broke. So, what do you actually do about this? Here's the simple playbook. Number 1, set your floor. Not your dream life, your sustainable life. The version you can maintain even if things slow down. Protect this. This is your stability. Number 2, build a growth layer. This is your future. Investments, savings, anything that compounds. And here's the rule. This layer comes before upgrades, not after. Number 3, create an options layer. This is the fun part. Trips, better stuff, convenience, but only from the top layer, never from your floor. That way, your lifestyle can grow without putting pressure on your base. Number 4, be suspicious, not paranoid, just aware. When new offers, upgrades, or better ways show up, ask why. because most of them appear right when you become worth targeting. And number 5, redefine what rich means. It's not stuff. It's not upgrades. It's options, time, flexibility, the ability to say no. Every dollar you don't absorb into your lifestyle is a future decision you don't have to stress about. Because the real catch is this: your life doesn't get expensive by accident. It gets expensive slowly, reasonably, logically, until one day you're doing everything right and still feel stuck. So protect your first stable phase. Treat it like a foundation, not a finish line. Because the moment you think you've made it is usually the moment the system starts pulling you back. And the people who actually get ahead, they're not more disciplined. They just notice the shift before it's too late.